Hey, Mr. Pierce. Good morning. When we last spoke, which was in mid-December, you were telling me that there was a lawyer you were planning on hiring, or your family was, someone, you were going to retain a lawyer. So, all right, we need to be moving your case forward, but I'm going to give you about a month. Now it's been actually almost a month and a half. I need an update from you, because if I look here in the system, still no entry of appearance, which says to me you have not hired someone. And so we need to have that conversation about, are you representing yourself? Am I appointing a lawyer to represent you, or what?
I have some things that I got wrote down that I would like to address.
Well, we're going to start with my question, which is, are you hiring the lawyer, or should I?
I'm American State National. I'm representing myself. I can't be represented by attorney. I'm American State National.
Okay. So you think you want to represent yourself?
I don't have, because I'm not under the jurisdiction of the government. You can let me, I got stuff that wrote down, which is all this is tied in together. You let me sit my paper down and read it all to you.
So I'm going to let you do that. We're going to do that today. We're just not going to do it right now. I needed to get your update so I could figure out what else we were going to do today. And I'm hearing you say you're not hiring an attorney, but you also don't want an appointed one because, and you'll tell me later, you're an American national. I don't mean to use your words. You're going to tell me why you think you should represent yourself. You have a right to represent yourself, but I have to have a conversation about that. And I'll certainly want you right there where I tell you all the reasons why it's a bad idea to represent yourself. But in the end, it's your call. It's not mine. I won't say no. If you say, no, Judge, I get it. I know that I won't have someone helping me on the outside. I won't have someone who knows all about the law this way and that way. That's okay. That's a decision for you to make. But we're going to have that conversation on the record. And during that conversation, if there are things you want to tell me about the fringe on the flag and whether you're under the jurisdiction of whatnot, I'm happy to listen to that. And we'll go forward. But we're going to do that a little later this morning. Okay? All right. Thank you, Deputy, for bringing Mr. Pierce out. We'll get him back out. Hey, Mr. Pierce, I gave you some bad info. I am running into a whole lot of cases that we need to resolve, like people are going to plead guilty. So you and I are still going to have that conversation about you representing yourself and your rights and jurisdiction. Promise you that. We might not fit it in today. And so I didn't want you to be surprised if these gentlemen take you back downstairs. It's not because I'm ignoring you in any way. I will get you back here soon so we can have that very same conversation. You can have all your papers with you. You'll get to be front and center, and we'll talk about all that, okay?
Is there a way I can give you a copy of my American National standing right quick?
If it's a copy you don't need anymore, you can leave it with the deputy, and he'll get it to me, okay?
I got a copy for the DA, the court clerk, and you.
Fantastic. If you leave that with me, I'll make sure it gets to all those people.
Okay.
All right.
I also filed my executive letter. I got it sent to certified mail. And I also filed a pro se ex parte with prohibited.
Buckle up, guys, because now we meet Shane Loy Remmer in a Michigan courtroom, ready to defend himself with nothing but sovereign citizen buzzwords. He won't give a name, won't accept jurisdiction, and clearly hasn't read a single legal statute that matters. The judge keeps it cool, but you can feel the tension. This is the part where Sovereign Theater meets the hard wall of courtroom decorum. And spoiler alert, guess who flinches first?
How are you?
Fine.
Good. I'm hanging in there. It's been a long day, but I'm sure it's been a long day for you as well. Whoop. Let's get your stuff all situated.
Y'all sit down, man. Y'all sit down.
Okay, well, you've waved to him, but this isn't a place where we have that kind of conversation. You bet. Mr. Pierce, when we were last together, we had a conversation about representation, and you told me that you wanted to represent yourself. You didn't want a lawyer appointed, and you weren't going to be hiring a lawyer. And I said, we can have that conversation. That's an extended conversation, judge and defendant. And I'm ready to do that so that we can move your case forward. Otherwise, you're kind of stuck until we clear that hurdle. You have a right to represent yourself, but I need to make sure that you are knowingly invoking that right and intelligently, which is not me telling you you're not intelligent. I just need to make sure you understand the consequences of self-representation. So that's what I was hoping we could get through today. But I always want to start by saying what is on your agenda, so we can see if there's anything else.
I'm American State National, and I can't be represented by no attorney. But I have a lot of issues with me being a national that I wanted to address. You said you were going to let me hear me. You're going to let me address all my issues last time I was here about me being.
Well, I did say that, but I said if you're going to address issues, I need to make sure you're representing yourself. Okay, but if we're going to do that, we have to have my conversation first. I'm required by law and by the Constitution to go through a few things to make sure it's appropriate for you to represent yourself. So you can want to do.
Let's head to Kansas, where Brian J. Wilkinson faces 3 charges and delivers 3 times the nonsense. He questions everything: the court's legitimacy, the prosecutor's role, and even the time of day. Every question he asks reveals how little he understands the system he's trying to outsmart. Watching the judge's patience wear thin is like watching a clock wind down to impact. This isn't strategy. It's a crash course in courtroom futility.
How far did you go in school?
11th grade.
All right. Did you ever get your GED?
Yes, sir.
When did you get your GED?
2017.
Excellent. Are you able to read English?
Yes, sir.
I know you can write in English because I got these, and you actually mailed me something that
I wrote you a letter.
About 200 pages long. All right, so you can read and write, and you can speak English. Have you ever worked before?
Yes, I had several jobs.
Tell me what kind of work you've done before.
I worked for Dollar Tree when I got arrested. I worked there for Airmark. I worked there for the Move Theater in North Carolina. I have my own landscaping business. I have my own record label. I worked at McDonald's, Burger King.
You've had a bunch of jobs. Got it. All right, that's helpful to know. I appreciate you sharing that. Have you gone to law school?
I haven't gone to law school, but I have practiced, not practiced, I've been studying law.
You've been studying the law. Tell me how you studied that.
Just reading, researching different case laws, sending out different statutes and codes and things of that nature.
Sure. Has all of your legal study been while you've been in jail, or have you also done legal study when you were out?
Both in and out.
Okay, got it. Have you ever watched an entire criminal trial before, start to finish?
I done been to trial before.
So you've watched one then?
Yes.
Okay. What was that trial about?
Armed robbery. The 10 years I just did for armed robbery.
So you were charged with armed robbery,
Yeah.
and that case went to trial.
Yes, sir.
So you were there from jury selection all the way through verdict.
To closing argument. I stopped before closing arguments and took 10 years.
Oh, you pled guilty.
Yeah, I
Got it.
tried right before they were finna come out for closing argument.
So you've seen 95% of a trial.
Yes, sir.
All right. You ever watched a trial on TV?
Yes, sir.
What kind of trial?
What that movie that's so called? Law and Order.
Okay, you've seen that kind of stuff. So you've seen the made for TV stuff.
Right.
But you've been in a real one. You were a participant in a real trial.
Yes, sir.
How long ago was that trial?
2016.
Where?
Here.
Fulton County.
Yes, sir.
Who was your lawyer?
Kevin Farmer. He's a judge now.
He is. That's a small world.
Yeah.
All right. Have you ever represented yourself in a criminal or a civil case before?
No, I haven't.
This would be your first time.
Yes, sir.
Got it. Have you ever gone to a doctor or a counselor to get treatment for any mental health issue?
No, sir.
Depression or bipolar or anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Tell me why you think you would do a better job representing yourself than a trained lawyer who went to law school and has done trials before would do.
Because by me being a Mr. National, a lawyer only subject me to the jurisdiction.
So hold on 1 second. Yeah, you got it. So the court reporter needs to be able to take down what you're saying. What you're saying is important. So just don't rattle the change, and then she'll be better able to hear you. So you were telling me by being an American
State National, by me being a national, I can't be.
It's time with a fourth sovereign, who calls himself the Prince of Morocco and claims diplomatic immunity. You heard that right. He stands in open court, deflecting charges with imaginary treaties and royal proclamations. The judge is done playing along. This part exposes just how far people will go to dodge accountability, how the legal system responds when someone turns a courtroom into a stage for
A lawyer, it sounds like you may think a lawyer would do a better job, but you don't want a lawyer because you're worried that would subject you to the jurisdiction of this court.
I know for a fact it'll subject me to the, because a lawyer is as an officer of the court, and by them being an officer of the court, it automatically subject me to the court's jurisdiction.
Okay, well, indulge me for a minute and assume, you may think I'm wrong, but assume that I've decided that you are subject to the jurisdiction of the court. And you say, Judge, you're wrong. Okay, but I get to make the decision initially, and then you go to the Court of Appeals and they'll say McBurney was right, McBurney was wrong. But if I've decided that this court has jurisdiction over you and this case and your co-defendant, do you want me to appoint you a lawyer because you're stuck here anyway, or you still want to represent yourself?
I still want to represent myself because I'm not under the court jurisdiction.
No chains.
Okay, my bad. My apologies. I'm not under the court jurisdiction, and I've been studying it long enough. Almost my whole family is nationals, and we know pretty much a lot about it, and we know for a fact the only way I could be subjected to a court jurisdiction is through a lawyer, because the birth certificate is a void contract, and through that contract, the birth certificate contract is what makes me subjected to the court jurisdiction.
Okay. I'm going to stop you again, not because I'm disagreeing with you. I am disagreeing with you, but we don't need to resolve that right now. I want to keep going with the discussion about representation. Before I get to the next question about the consequences of self-representation, if we fast forward and play this out, eventually you are either going to be pleading guilty in this case or you're going to trial. You're going to disagree about jurisdiction. I'm going to be very respectful and say, you know what? I hear you, Mr. Pierce, and you don't think I have jurisdiction or this court has jurisdiction over you. And I may be wrong about that, but we're still moving forward. Here comes a jury. We're going to do the trial. And so we'll go through that whole process. And I may be told I'm wrong by the Supreme Court, and then I'll have to fix that, and I will fix it. But there'll be this trial. You're going to want to represent yourself, even though we're going forward with it.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what you're charged with in the indictment?
No, I haven't had. I know what I'm charged, but I haven't had nobody come talk to me about nothing. I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
Well, that's because you said you don't want a lawyer. And so this is what we're getting into. No one's going to come talk to you about what's going on. I'll make sure you get the discovery, the paperwork in the case.
And when would I?
It's complicated. We can get you the paper stuff pretty soon. Okay. But if I'm making this up, I don't know what's in the case. But if there's video, let's say there's surveillance video, I can't give you that at the jail. That's on a disc. What are you going to do with a disc at the jail? You can't watch that. You don't have a way to watch that.
And, I would be signing a private investigator too, right? By me representing myself?
Nope. You don't get an investigator.
How would I do my investigation?
Anissa's battle is back, this time doubling down on her claim that she's a living soul. And the eviction case is invalid because she doesn't recognize the court's authority. Judge Washington doesn't. Miss Abici swings the gavel with quiet force, issuing orders and cutting through the nonsense. The sovereign script may be chaotic, but the court's response? All business. This is what happens when delusion meets a deadline. Shane Loy Remmer is now invoking the Constitution, but only the parts he likes. He cites laws that don't apply and ignores the ones that do, refusing to follow procedure while demanding rights he can't articulate. It's a stunning display of selective legal logic, and the judge is visibly running out of patience. This is the kind of courtroom spiral that makes you appreciate every real